How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. I threw a thank you in the last video, but just in case you didn't catch it, thanks so much for getting me to 200,000 subscribers. It's absolutely insane that many people took the time to subscribe to my channel about the PlayStation 5. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate it. In today's video, I've got 3 topics to cover. The first one is that there's a new update out for the PS5 in beta, and it's awesome, but there's one feature I definitely wouldn't use. Second on the list, we're talking about this amazing new DualSense that you're probably going to want to buy. And third, we're going to talk about this $200 price cut on some PS5 hardware, but is it too little too late? This video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. You might have seen them before on the channel because they did a sponsorship recently with their standing desk, and I absolutely love it, but now they're back with their OC6 chair. The first great thing about this chair is that it's high quality, but it's also budget friendly. It's very comparable to something like the SteelSeries Gesture, but you'll get it at a fraction of the price. It'll feel great on your back too because it has an ergonomic Y-shaped structure, which I love. And the OC6 can withstand impacts of 110 pounds up to 40,000 times, which is well beyond the actual standard that they have to follow for ergonomic chairs. And I might have mentioned this already, but it's very durable. It can withstand 110 pounds of impact over 400,000 times, which is well beyond the standard that they have to follow for ergonomic chairs. And you can buy this chair with confidence because there's a 10-year warranty, so your happiness is guaranteed. So if you want to get your hands on a FlexiSpot OC6 chair, head down to the link in the description. It'll take you where you need to go. Once again, huge shout out to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. All right, let's jump into this first news story because I'm honestly very excited about it. We've been getting updates pretty much every month or two for this year on the PlayStation 5, and it's been awesome. They've added in a ton of great features that just make the thing easier and better to use. So even though we just got a new update that added in the social sharing features like being able to create a link to your game and things like that, they're just releasing another beta update that adds even more hardware-based features that I'm excited about. The first one being custom audio profiles, and people who have tested these are saying that they're absolutely phenomenal. So essentially how this works is you'll put on your 3D audio capable headphones, so like the Pulse headphones, the Pulse Elite, the Pulse Explore, and then it'll run you through this like little video where it'll play different sounds and you can tune them to your liking, and it'll make things like hearing someone's footsteps in Call of Duty or Rainbow Six Siege easier, or it'll let you hear the road under your car better. It'll let you hear the road under your car in Gran Turismo better. Basically, like the sounds you want to hear in a game will be the ones that are boosted, and the ones you don't really care about will be kind of down leveled so you don't really hear them as well as the ones you want to hear. When it comes to PS5 features, I think 3D audio is honestly kind of underrated. I remember way back when I started the channel and the Pulse headphones came out and Sony did that update to the console that added in the audio profiles for 3D audio. You could basically like tune the EQ of the Pulse headset to take it from a $100 headset that sounds like a $50 headset to a $100 headset that sounds like a $200 headset. Like the speaker drivers inside the Pulse regular edition headphones actually ended up being pretty good. They just needed the right software to take advantage of them, which, you know, is kind of a bummer, but I just thought it was really cool that Sony put in the work to make sure they could get the best out of those headphones. And when you hear 3D audio in games like Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut and everything, it really is a game-changing experience. I don't know if it's like as next-gen feeling as the features you get out of the DualSense, but compared to what you would get on the PlayStation 4 or even the PS4 Pro, it was a big jump up in terms of audio quality, and I'm someone who likes playing with either a nice soundbar or headphones, really nothing in between. I don't use speakers or anything like that. It's either a nice speaker setup or headphones, and with 3D audio, I've definitely gravitated more towards headphones this generation than I did in the last generation. I also just want to throw out a recommendation that the Pulse Elite headset is actually worth grabbing. Unlike the regular Pulse headset, it actually comes out of the box with great sound quality, and it's just a lot more comfortable than that regular Pulse headset. I absolutely love the PlayStation Link adapter feature. I basically just moved that between my PS5s and my PC. It says when you plug it into a different PS5 that it can only be paired with one PS5 at a time, but then you hit OK, it pairs it with that PS5, and then you just move it to the other one, and it still remembers the last headset it connected to anyway, so it really doesn't limit you on how many PS5s you can be connected to, and it works great on PC. And just from a hardware quality standpoint, I think the Elite is great. It's pretty hefty at $200, but I've seen it go on sale for as low as like $125, and at that point, it's so worth it because the Pulse regular headset is $100, so you're only going to end up paying a little bit more to get a lot more better quality audio. Anyway, that brings us to the second new feature, which is one that I definitely don't think is worth using. So the Xbox has messed with this a lot, and Sony has kind of dipped their toes into it. They're all about the eco-friendly features, and now you can basically set up your PS5 PS5 to have adaptive charging, which means it'll use the USB port on your PS5 to charge whatever's plugged into it for an indeterminate amount of time, and then it'll just shut off at certain points, so that like if you leave your controller plugged in overnight, the USB port will turn on, charge it up a little bit, turn off, turn back on, charge it up a little bit. It'll like theoretically uses less energy, but like I don't think it's anything you're realistically going to see on your electric bill, so it's just like a feature that really doesn't mean or do anything important. Something I'd really actually like them to introduce when we're talking about charging is smart charging, where it'll only charge your DualSense to something like 80%, because it's really hard to change out the DualSense battery, and if you're charging it to 100%, draining it, charging it to 100%, that shortens the life of the actual battery. Not like the time it will be on, like the actual shelf life of the battery goes down. I don't know if that feature is implemented, but I use it on my iPhone all the time, and I noticed this year with the iPhone 15 Pro, which is the one I started using it on, the battery health percentage is at like 98%, whereas with my iPhone 14 Pro, it was at like 70% by the time I upgraded last year. So like smart charging works. I don't know. This is just kind of like a nothing feature, but it's interesting that they're adding it, I guess. And the third feature they're adding in this update that I think is really good is an update to remote play and how it works with having multiple users on your PlayStation 5. So my brother comes and stays with me on the weekends because he lives like out in the woods and he doesn't have good internet. He's using Starlink. So he likes coming around town, hanging out with my friends and I. He lives basically down here in the basement. And when he's here, he logs into my PlayStation 5, plays his games, plays my games. But let's say I had a PlayStation Portal or, remote play set up on different devices. You can basically now toggle who can connect to your PlayStation 5 when they're not in your house to use remote play. So like say my brother went back to his house in the woods and then wanted to play a game that was downloaded on my PS5, but I was using it, I could like effectively block him from logging in and starting up my PS5 with remote play. So it's a good feature to make sure that the people using your PS5 at any given time are specifically the people you want using your PS5 at any given time. This is another great benefit of the PlayStation Portal doing so well. Remote play has been around forever. It was actually a feature on the PSP that you could use with the PS3 like way back, and then they upgraded it a little bit for the PS4, but it really hasn't changed all that much since they made it. But since the PlayStation Portal came out and took off in sales, we've gotten updates to features for remote play like every other month, and they've overall improved the quality of it. So while I'm not the biggest fan of remote play devices, streaming devices, everything like that, I can obviously see the clear benefit of them doing well in the PlayStation ecosystem, because that's why we keep getting these great feature upgrades for remote play, because people are actually engaging with that part of the software. So yeah, all in all, this is a great beta update. I have gotten into all of them. If you want to know how to do this, you basically just go to the PlayStation blog post about the update, and then at the bottom there's a link to sign in with your PlayStation Network ID, and then they just email you like a PlayStation Store code. You punch that into your PS5 and then it'll download the beta update. And usually these stay in beta for around a month just to make sure everything works as intended. So if you want to try that out, I'd recommend it. I've never had an issue with a beta update. Like I've never even noticed I was on a beta update. Unlike my iPhone, I used to be that kid who would like always do the developer beta update because my friend was an Apple developer, so we could get those beta update IPSW files, and those are horrible. Those like kill your battery. The like apps don't work, X, Y, and Z. On the PS5, the beta updates come out very frequently and they're always pretty good. Anyway, that brings us to the second news story here, which is an awesome new DualSense that I think you're going to want to pick up. So like they announced the Concord one, and as much as I'm kind of a Concord not liker, like I don't hate it. It's not for me, right? Like I didn't have a lot of fun in the beta, and like I'm not a huge like Overwatch hero shooter guy. I'm like hopelessly addicted to Call of Duty right now, which is fun, but like, yeah, Concord's not for me. The controller they're putting out looks pretty cool, but they also just announced a new Astro Bot controller, and my immediate reaction was like, I gotta know when I can pre-order this thing because I'm grabbing it. It's like I haven't bought a DualSense since the DualSense Edge, but this is one that I need to have in my collection. So if you haven't seen this controller yet, it looks awesome. It's a white DualSense that's basically like if you took Astro Bot's head and turned it into a DualSense controller, which sounds crazy and creepy, but I didn't mean it like that. The handles have little blue cutouts for the sides of his head that are blue, and then the touchpad has little cute Astro Bot eyes that will stare at you while you're gaming. It would be so cool if they released like a DualSense Edge that had a screen in the touchpad and then had the like little eyes that could animate while you were playing, or like you could hear sounds through the controller of Astro Bot maybe like living in your controller, but like they're never going to do that. So this is pretty much the next best thing. So the way Sony does these controller releases is a little weird. So even though the controller comes out September 6th, you have to pre-order it on August 9th on the PlayStation Direct store. And because it is a special edition controller, there's a little bit of a price increase. It's going to be $80. So if if you want to grab this, make sure you log into the PlayStation Direct store on August 9th at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you should be able to get one. I was not able to get the really cool plates for Spider-Man 2 because allegedly they made like 50 of them, which really sucked, but I did get the Spider-Man controller. That did not sell out immediately, and because even though Astro Bot's like a very hyped game, like I think PlayStation fans are excited for it, I don't think this thing's going to sell out immediately, but if you want it, it's always good to just pre-order it and get your pre-order in so the controller comes on September 6th. You don't got to worry about buying it when you could be playing the game that just came out on the same day. But yeah, I don't know, man. I wish I liked Concord more because that controller they put out looks so cool. It's like the iconography of that game with the ship and everything. I just think it looks really cool. But yeah, between those two controllers, I'm definitely buying the Astro Bot controller. Anyway, that brings us to the third news story here, which is that there's a heavy discount going on the PSVR 2, but it might just be too little too late. This is basically Sony admitting, to me at least, that they're done with the PSVR 2. We're not going to see any more games coming out. So it's basically like a mea culpa to say, we did release a lot of games that you can go play and buy on the PlayStation Store. We're releasing that adapter for PC so you can use this headset with your PC, and we're finally dropping the price. I personally think it's too little too late, just being honest, but for this price, if you even have thought about picking up a PSVR 2, I don't really think you can beat it because it's such a high quality headset. So basically they're knocking $200 off both versions of the PSVR 2. So if you just want the headset, you're going to get it for $350. If you want it with Horizon Call of the Mountain, it's going to be $400. I would not buy that game. It's good. Like, it's very high quality from a graphics and interactivity standpoint. It just feels like a little bit of a glorified tech demo from what I played of it. I would personally buy the cheaper model and then get Resident Evil 4, get Resident Evil Village, get Legendary Tales. You know, there's a lot of other games you could spend $50 on for the PSVR 2 that I personally think are better options than, you know, Horizon Call of the Mountain. Also, the adapter is $60 for the PC. So if you're planning on using this thing with PC, definitely get the one that isn't a bundle, because then the money you save is basically paying for that adapter. Like, $10 less, but still, it's basically paying for the adapter. I gotta be real, if I didn't have a PSVR 2, like, the only reason I got it was really so I could do a video on it and try out Gran Turismo. I'm just being honest with you guys. If I didn't already have it, I would jump at it for this price, just knowing that I have a PC that's more than capable of running any VR game out there. It does suck that you lose a lot of the main features of the PSVR 2 that make it great on console, like foveated rendering and everything like that on PC, but like, even with those features removed, it's still the most comfortable VR headset I've ever used. The screens in it are the best I've ever seen. It's lightweight on your head. And while, yeah, you can get wireless versions of these headsets if you go with Oculus, I've never really had much luck streaming from my PC to the headset. So in reality, I would just end up using the USB-C cord anyway. So the fact that this is wired doesn't really bug me all that much. And the real game changer with the PSVR 2, honestly, is the controllers. The Sense controllers are amazing. Obviously, they just take the DualSense features and cram them into a little controller. You do lose haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, but the haptic feedback isn't totally gone because the actual vibrate motors are just that much better than a regular controller in these like little controllers. So even though you're losing the direct feedback by using them with PC, they'll still work pretty well. It's kind of a bummer because I come at it from two angles. The first side is like VR was never really going to take off. It's too expensive. It sucks that it's basically its own platform that uses completely different games. Like, there are some examples where, you know, a game gets converted to VR and it works out, like the two Resident Evil games I mentioned. But like, for the most part, VR games are VR games. They don't translate over to being a 2D game or like a controller capable game that you don't need a VR headset for. So it's like investing in a new platform that you then need the PlayStation 5 to use, which really sucks. But on the other hand, after using it, I am a believer in the hardware. Like, I think they did a really good job with it. It just like, it was like the wrong time, right? I just think they kind of botched the launch on it, honestly, like not having games be upgradable for free. That was stupid, making it a completely new platform. I get why they had to do it because the hardware leap was so massive, but still, it would have been nice if like a version of a game that was on PSVR 1 got upgraded and then you got it for free. Like, they figured out a way to do that. I would have appreciated that. Also, not having it work on PC at launch, I think was stupid. That would have been smart for them to do because that would have opened up the audience a lot more. And the price of the headset was just completely out of whack. Like, there's no reality in which a peripheral, like an accessory for the PlayStation 5, should cost more than a PlayStation 5 at its cheapest model, which it does. does. It costs more than a disk drive PS5, which is absolutely insane. Still, I like the hardware. I think it's worth it at this price, especially if you have a PC. Like, grab the non-bundled version and get that adapter and try that out on PC, because even as someone who likes playing VR on PS5, once you play it on PC, it's a totally different experience. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.